I'll go ahead and snip the line cord. I may repurpose it. And you can see the negative lead of the electrolytic capacitor, dual dry electrolytic, 50 and 30 in one common ground. Snip that and leave a little pigtail, get that out of the way. Interesting, you can see some work that's been done. Of course that goes nowhere, but somebody placed a diode in, and the other end of the diode's not soldered. It looks like it was coming off of this positive location back over to the can dome. You never know what you're going to find in these old things, and what used to go back over to the electrolytic capacitor. And get this one loctile tube out. Just from my angle I cannot make out the tube number. No big deal. We'll look at a schematic later and see. Your typical 5-tube receiver. You can see how much rust there is on that loudspeaker. Hopefully I can salvage it. Tuning condenser does rotate, but extremely stiff. Actually, the dial cord is slipping. 2 fasteners down here for the loudspeaker. You can see how congested the chassis is on these little small 5-tube receivers back from the day. Looks like a lot of the old rubber wire in this particular receiver, real common for the Philcos for this period. I'll use some tubing to recover and or replace, and just looking at it, looks like more replacement. Point to point will be required versus using any type of heat shrink tubing. Again, just for my future documentation, you can see the second point on the can dome. This small lead that someone's placed back over to a diode. Looks like the 2 field coil leads are routed back down on this side. Let me see if I can ID those, and just go ahead and cut those loose. Again, those watching that are new in the hobby, it's why you never power up one of these old receivers. I was talking about this old rubber wire. You can see how that stuff's just flaking off of the old conductor. You really have to have a lot of respect for the women and men that dedicated their services to Philco back in the day on the assembly line, putting these things together. Just cut wires and more wires. And I finally found the other lead here in the nest of wires. So we've got what appears to be the field coil here and the humbucking coil back here on the rear. That's what I had for the PT-26. I think that's those 2 leads right here. I can tell you this thing's such a mess. I think I'm going to just go ahead and cut the leads down here as far as I can. See if I can get this dial pointer off before I break it. And there's the output transformer, and you can see the dial scale still attached. I'm actually going to just cut these leads. You guys can see the deterioration in the old wiring. Frees up a little room, and you can see the mess we have underneath there. Apply a little pressure and see if I can push this out. There we go. See if we can shine that up. As you guys can see, one goof I made. It's no big deal because I'm going to need to redo these lead wires anyway, but going back over to the humbucking coil, no need to cut them. They're actually part of the tie down solder to locations here on this terminal strip. But no big deal. All the lead wire needs to be redone anyway. So when I break this thing down and take it apart, I'll just redo everything. Okay, I think we're in good shape here, health-wise, for the output transformer and the voice coil. Not sure I'll be able to save it or not, trying to get a cone put back in. They have to redo all that. But the reflected impedance on the primary side, you can see the jumper back in place here where I mistakenly cut the humbucking coil on the rear side, which is in series with the loudspeaker voice coil, reading about 2400 ohms, so I think about 2500 for this particular output tube, if my memory is correct. That's what we're looking for, so that's a good sign. Let me check the fill coil. I think this is the same as the other receiver, I believe, somewhere around 500 ohms. Try to get that where you guys can see it without a glare, so just under 500 ohms, again cold DCR and about 1.6 henries. You may be able to see that on camera, but if you look real close back in here, 500, 500 ohms. See if I can use my spring tools chisel. And using my spring tools, I was able to lift the tabs here. I'm almost there where I can remove the transformer. Closer, that is, anyway. These things are not really meant to come off. And you can see, let's see, we'll do it from this orientation. You can see the connection points back to the secondary of the output transformer. Right and center. Let's see if I can work this loose now. And there we have it. I think I'll go ahead and remove the cone from around the gasket. This thing is just used up. You can see it fall apart. And let me just be careful here where the voice coil leads are. Alright, there's a look with the cone removed, or most of the cone, and all the crud and crap back in here around the speaker frame. This is interesting here as well. Show that on camera. Looks like it was used as a spacer or a washer. See if I can break these loose without the spider falling apart. I think that's what it was. It was just a washer, and when tightening it down clockwise, it would just catch on this lip. Interesting. And this one's the same way. And you can see the voice coil connecting to the two most outer solder points, and the humbucking coil back to that center location. You get the soldering iron hooked up, and go ahead and remove those leads and pull the spider and the voice coil out. There's the voice coil and the spider. Yeah, this thing was pressed in place and then beveled over, and I'm just using my cold chisel and trying to lift the lip up and see if I can drive the center pole piece out. Okay, part of that just broke loose. Probably what I'll have to do is tap out the center pole piece and figure out how to put a fastener on here to keep the center pole piece back in place when I'm done. Now let me see if I can tap that out. And there it is, with the center pole piece removed. Now I got the fill coil, humbucking coil, and get that out. I can soak this and get the rust off, give it a nice coat of paint. And the cool thing is, be able to save that cardboard gasket as well. And you can see the fill coil leads come out on the right side. Nomenclature here in reference to the terminal strip here on the bottom, and the humbucking coil on the left side. Stamp 500. There's the humbucking coil, most likely representing 18 AWG, maybe 23 turns of wire.